Hi everybody, welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is Kriti and I'm back with another video about life in Denmark. Now, if you are coming to Denmark as an expat, the biggest challenge is learning the Danish language. But do not worry because today I have the industry expert when it comes to teaching the language, Sigga Hansen with me. Thank you so much, Sigga, for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I still on my YouTube channel get a lot of questions. Help me, understand the Danish language or how can we better it on a day-to-day life. So I have a lot of questions, but before I get into all those and also related to the PD3 exam. But before that, I would love you to, introduce yourself and also about your work as teaching the Danish language.
Well, yeah, my name is Sigga Hansen, and yes, I'm a Danish teacher. I am the founder of Lingua Danica, a company that offers Danish courses and Danish training. I have some social media channels as well, where I share a lot of free content. It's where many people get to know me through Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, where I share almost daily tips and tricks on how to learn better Danish and how to get to know the Danish culture. Yeah.
You have like the also the fun way to tell about Danish language, especially on your Instagram. I've seen. I think when you are having fun with the language, it becomes little easier to learn it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that are most important in my work, also in my paid courses, and I regularly offer some free online classes, singular classes here and there. It's not free courses, just
Yeah.
individual classes once in a while, but it's something that I really consciously trying to do is to make learning fun. I'm not this stiff teacher,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
strict, stiff teacher. So yeah, I want to make Danish approachable. Well, it's not easy for everyone. I'm not trying to tell myself that or anyone
Yeah.
else because learning a language is it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
especially if the language is very different from your mother tongue or other languages that you know. But yeah, I try to make it fun and accessible.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's not easy, and especially for, I think, for many people. So, Siga, with your expertise and your experience, could you share, what are the key essentials when you start to learn a new language?
I think for many adult learners is to study the language. I think many adult learners, they need some structure. They need to know some rules to grasp the language, to master the language. So and also with Danish, I think it's important to take some kind of Danish course, whether it's some of those free courses that the different language schools, language centers all over Denmark offer, or whether someone has a private tutor or take small groups privately or join a course such as my own. I think it's really helpful. And then another thing is I think it's important not to just do one thing, like
Yeah.
only follow a course and that's it, or someone only speaks by learning or learns by speaking.
Yeah.
I think it's important to do different things. For example, following a course or buying a textbook or like learning the structure somehow,
Yeah.
and then also practice somehow, watch Danish movies, listen to Danish music. Yeah, so do different things.
Once you start to do these things like have multiple sources to learn the Danish language, one thing I think I have felt in my experience, it's very important to focus also on speaking the language, like find
Yes.
somebody if somebody is ready to speak with you. I want to understand what would you suggest, like some tips for speaking more Danish but in your day to day life. How can you do that?
There are some people who struggle to practice speaking Danish either because they speak their mother tongue at home, or maybe they're an international family, so they speak English or whatever it could be, or maybe they don't live in Denmark. There are different tips. I mean, one tip could be maybe find a Danish tutor. That could be maybe a pricey option for some people. Another tip could be to just when you do things, when you, I don't know, get up in the morning, when you set the breakfast table, when you take your shower, just when you do different everyday things, just say out loud what you're doing in Danish. So that could be a way to practice, even though you are just at home. Another good idea could be to maybe agree with someone, with a trusted colleague or your spouse if he or she is Danish, or a good friend or a neighbor or whoever you think could be a good person, is to agree to practice Danish. It doesn't need to be, all the time you're speaking together. It could just be, okay, in the next 5 minutes, let's practice Danish. Of course, the less you speak, maybe the more limited amount of time you should do it. But as you get better, you can speak more and more Danish. I can also recommend to, when you maybe meet strangers, to start out by saying, hey, I'm learning Danish. I really want to practice. Because then you're kind of setting the stage and people will be more inclined to be more patient, to wait for you to finish the sentence, maybe to make mistakes, and just be more open to having this
Yeah.
little struggling conversation.
And I also like the idea that if you're doing day-to-day activities, say it aloud so that you get used to of hearing and you get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the confidence, it also comes from being used to saying the words, pronouncing the sounds, because I mean, when you speak Danish, you use the mouth in a different way because we pronounce the sounds, the letters in different ways. So it feels different, and you need to position the tongue a bit differently, or the openness of the mouth can change. And it is
Yeah.
using the muscles in the mouth in a different way. So it takes practice. Just compared to going to the gym, you train your muscles. It really is the same.
But is
So
it true that you need a potato to put it in your mouth to speak the Danish language? Like always carry a potato with you to the class.
well, if you ask Norwegians, yes.
What are the some like common mistakes you see expats or new learners make when they are starting the language, Danish language? And again, how can they avoid those mistakes?
Well, some of the mistakes are linked to the pronunciation. For example, I think Danish has a lot of vowel sounds, so I know it's hard for a lot of Danish learners to just be able to hear the difference, and more importantly, to pronounce the differences. And also the soft D, there are different misconceptions when it comes to the soft D. We have this sound in Danish.
Yeah.
And well, one misconception is that even Danes, when Danes explain people from other countries how to pronounce word with the soft D, they say just say the th sound in English, this the sound. It's not correct, because when you say the sound in English, you stick the tongue out between the teeth.
Yeah.
But the soft D is with the tongue at the bottom of your mouth behind the lower front teeth. So
Ah.
one easy trick to pronounce the sound is to say a. When you say this sound, you can feel the tongue is down in your mouth. A, and then you
Eh.
pull up your jaw like a, and that's the soft D sound.
Ah. So like roll glory me four. No,
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the tongue needs to stay down behind your lower front teeth. Roll, roll, roll. You don't see my tongue here. Roll, roll.
Oh. And I hear like soft D for, is it true that soft D sounds like to me like L sound? It becomes,
Yeah, that's another misconception. I think the reason why it's very common, why many people hear it as an L is because you don't have the soft D in your language, and then your
yeah.
brain tries to, when you don't know the sound, then you cannot hear it necessarily.
Ah,
So that's why the L is close to the soft D sound. But the difference between the soft D and the L is that the L is pronounced with the tongue touching kind of the top of your mouth. L, L,
yeah.
L.
Ah.
But as we saw before, when we pronounce the soft D, the tongue stays down. L, L.
But I'm
But
still
it's
hearing
a
like a little bit of L. No, when you are saying it, so
L,
it's like
L,
maybe my,
L, L. Yeah,
yeah.
they sound similar, but there is a difference, and Danes will hear it for sure.
How can student prepare best for PD3 exam? Some tips and tricks to, get better at preparing for the exam.
I also get that question a lot. It depends a lot on when the person, what do you say, starts thinking, okay, I want to take the next PD3 exam. Because if someone has a good amount of time, then I would recommend to get the required levels, which is level B2 for the PD3 exam, or module 5 if you are in the Danish education system. So Dansk Uddannelse 3, module 5. The level of PD3 is this level B2. It would be, what do you say, recommendable to reach this level first, but I always recommend people to prepare specifically for the exam, to use some old PD3 material, either in a language school. There are many language schools that offer these PD3 preparation classes, or with a private tutor. I think there are also some Danish teachers, like private Danish teachers, offering group preparation, because in that way you can practice using previous PD3 exams, exam material, like to see what kind of text you need to read, the writing exercises, and there are some very specific ways you need to do it. So I think it's very important to prepare. If someone can prepare as well as possible, then of course the higher the chance of passing the exam. I would tell people to at least spend 2 months preparing, because there's the reading part and another type of reading part, and then you need to write some kind of essay, and you also need to write an email, and then there is the speaking part. So there is quite a lot of different skills or different things you need to prepare.
But a lot of people like follow that the language school. So it's like you go through different module. Like with PD3, with my experience, after module 3, it starts to get very like, heavy on you, that you have to get better at it. And
yeah, I have also, like, if when I was still giving private lessons, I would also, there's one book called At Skrive by Fanny Sloterup, which I think is really good for PD3 preparation, can help you to express yourself with more accurate, precise words, and create this logic in the text, so the reader understands,
I
very
think
clearly
I
what you
used
want to say.
I think I used that at Skriva. And then Sigga, what would you recommend? Because for me, like if you are an expat who just needs to pass Danish exam, I mean, you should definitely keep speaking, but our aim is that you get the minimum to pass. But when you come to Denmark, as a nurse, I know this requirement that they need to really meet the higher grade. Like you need to get 7, 7, and 10, like writing, reading, and then speaking, you need to get 10. So how can somebody from the beginning itself focus on getting good grades?
When you say the beginning, you mean from when you start module 1?
Yeah, maybe from the beginning, I think, or maybe after module 3, you need to really get focus on getting good grades at the final level. And I know, like, I would have been very stressed if I had to get 10 in speaking. So I got 7. That I was happy for that as well. How can you get a higher grade in your PD3 exam?
I think the problem for some people is that they only go to language schools and then they don't practice outside of language schools. And I mean, there's only so much you can learn from a textbook. So I think it's very important to actually use the language outside of the class, because you are gaining more vocabulary. Yeah, you're practicing the language, you are learning a lot of new words and hearing from Danes and other Danish speakers, how to say things, and you catch I don't know, expressions, fixed expressions, and just like we talked about a little bit earlier, just practicing speaking. So you get confident speaking Danish, so that you don't save all that for the exam situation, because then there's so much more to focus on. So I think it's important to master the language as well as you can, and then up to the exam, just prepare. I mean, spend a lot of time preparing, and do it well in advance, because it is quite a bit that you need to prepare. What I have done with private students is to usually we start by the reading tasks, the reading parts, and then over a couple of weeks we practice that. And there's also the part where you have, I think you need to answer 25 questions in, I don't remember how much time, 15 minutes or 12 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't remember. But there is that one, that part where you need to be quite fast and you need to scan the text to find answers to questions. And I think it's also a matter of practicing how to do it. Many times students only manage to answer half of the questions and they realize, okay, I need to be faster. So it's important to have tried the different parts of the exam so you know where your strengths are and what you need to practice more. Also the speaking part, I think that part also counts for a lot. So, and that's one thing you can really practice a lot, because you have the monologue where you present a topic for 2 minutes, as I remember. And after that, there is a little discussion where your examinator can ask you questions and you'll reply and stuff. But the first 2 minutes, if you can really prepare a really great monologue, and if you can have practiced it a lot at home, and maybe gotten feedback either from a private tutor or a good friend, a Danish friend, someone who knows Danish, I think if you can prepare a really good monologue, I think you have really heightened the level, I think, of the oral exam.
And then with your work, like I have seen, the courses that you have, what would you recommend? Like when should they connect with you? Like should they because they can also take the beginner level, and then there is intermediate level, then advanced level. So would you recommend that people should go through all the levels, or can they go directly to the advanced level if they are preparing for the PD3 exam?
It depends on different things. First of all, of their current level, of course. If someone is a complete beginner and if they have a long time to prepare, then yes, I would recommend to start from scratch. If someone is of a higher level, of course, to start from maybe intermediate level. Sometimes even people on intermediate level, they don't feel very confident when it comes to the basic grammar. Then they might go back to the basics. So it depends. Yeah, it depends on their current level, how much time they have, etc., etc.
Yeah, because I think in the end, as I really like that you said, try different things. Like, no, and that's what I also did. Like, I was also following your work when I was giving the exam, going through the newsletter and all the important topics that you covered. So I was doing this. I was also speaking with someone, found a friend, and not only got focused on just the classes that I was doing with the Danish school.
I mean, you have the chance to kind of use material covering topics that interest you.
Yeah.
Maybe if you love food and cooking, then you can watch food related programs. Or if you like music, you can listen to music, you can watch music related programs. Just use your interests as a motivation to also learn Danish. Another tip could be to watch maybe a movie that you love, or a book, maybe a book that you know and love, maybe to read it in Danish, or watch a movie that you love, watch it with Danish subtitles. Of course, you might not be able to hear the pronunciation, but that could help with your vocabulary. So yeah, there are different ways to use your motivation, your interests in your advantage.
And I think this is just the beginning, because I don't want you to share all the tips and tricks. So people and everybody who's watching, connect. I will have all the details about Sigga's work in the description. But Sigga, thank you so much for giving your time and the tips that you shared. I'm sure it will help a lot. And if people want to connect with you,
my Instagram is at Lingua Danica. Maybe you can write that in the description. People can also find me on my website, linguadanica.com. That's where I offer my courses. We can also leave my email address, perhaps, and then people can get in touch to hear if I'm offering one of my free classes soon. That could also be a good way to get to know me. To join one of my free classes. And
yeah, sure. Sigga, thank you so much. And I love, as I said in the beginning also, and people will definitely, get to see it on your Instagram, that the element of fun that you add, that really helps. I think the process becomes much smoother. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for doing the interview today.
Yes, it was my pleasure. I hope this conversation could help someone out there.
Thank you so much, everybody, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.